Welcome aboard. It's time for a little cruise with Dora the Boatress. Let's discover the world of boating as we navigate the waters together. And now, here's Dora.
Dora Miles, the Boatress, coming to you from Dockside Live. With me, you guys, I have Melissa and Martin Fitzpatrick. I found myself some loopers. And so I'm going to let them introduce themselves and talk a little bit about how they got into this. So with that, I'm going to throw it to you all.
Okay. Well, I'm Martin Fitzpatrick. It's my wife, Melissa Fitzpatrick. And we have one dog here, Maddie, and we have another dog back there. Hailey. And our boat is named Cavalier, and these are two Cavalier dogs. So we always tell people the boat's named after the dogs, not the attitude.
Yeah.
We're chicken when it comes to boating. So,
we're very careful.
Yeah. So the two of us, we live. We have a house out in California that we got married. We've been married 20 years this year, and we've lived on. It's on the Central Coast in San Luis Obispo, California. We love it out there, but we really wanted to come back and do a challenge back here. So that's what got us into buying a boat back here and doing the loop and then some. We're going to probably spend about 3 or 4 years at least on the boat. So we pretty much we have our house leased out in California. We sold all our cars, emptied the house, sold everything.
We sold so much stuff that dogs thought they were next.
They thought they were next. So we pretty much came out here and got on the boat and started we're in Green Turtle Bay, Kentucky right now on the inland rivers.
So you're close to me. You guys, for all of our Lake Cumberland listeners, they purchased their boat and started their loop not too far from us, I believe.
Exactly, right here. So we actually finished our loop here too.
The other thing too is that we should tell everybody is we didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah, this is our first boat. We have a Silverton 43 motor yacht.
That was your first boat that you ever? So you had
very first boat we've ever had. Not even a canoe.
You had no boating experience prior to this.
We had that much.
Nothing. But we did hire a training captain.
Yeah, we hired a training captain.
Oh, I don't care if you hired a training captain. The nerve. I mean, like, seriously, that's impressive.
Well, it's impressive that we made it.
Yeah. We tell people that we were so ignorant. We had no idea what we didn't know.
That's awesome.
So anyhow, so this is.
We're still floating.
We're still floating. Yeah, we made it all the way around, and we're still floating. So.
How long did you train with the captain that you hired to teach you?
About 2 days. About 2 days.
I thought you were at least going to say 2 weeks. 2 days.
2 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then, I have a bunch of. We are going to tackle this. I got a bunch of questions to ask about this. Okay, back up. Back up. So I have a question about what was the weather like on those 2 days that you trained?
Well, we're in Green Turtle Bay,
so
the weather it was a little cold, but it's not.
It wasn't much.
You're not out in the weird.
We went down Kentucky Lake over and went down a little bit and came back, but it was not a challenge at all. Believe me, we've been in a lot more challenging weather, and it was easy.
So you have thrusters?
We got a bow thruster, twin engines, and a bow thruster.
Yeah. Okay, so that helps. That helps.
Oh, big time.
Yeah, that helps. Okay, so that now I can see a little bit more. So the wind is not so. Okay, that makes a little more sense. I had to remind myself that you have thrusters.
Yeah, and I have to back up because I did get a little more experience. We've actually bought the boat up on Lake Michigan, and it was late in the year, and we knew we weren't going to be able to start until late December here, late December here. So I hired a delivery captain, and me and him delivered the boat down here. So, but he was the captain. I was just the boat hand. So but I did get some experience. So I got a little more experience at least.
Barely.
Yeah, barely.
Yeah. Well, I learned everything boating before I got my Merchant Mariner credentials. I learned everything from my mom, from watching my mother.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can learn just from sitting back and watching her be vigilant, watching, who's to your right has the right of way. Just watching her with the surround, just like driving a car with your parents growing up. I watched my mom drive a boat, and watching her being vigilant of what was going on around her is probably the same as you watching that boat captain going. It's you pick up a lot.
And he was actually he actually did a training captain also, so he knows he was making me do things and learn things as I was coming down. But he did all the close boat handling. I never got any experience at all, getting a boat into a slip or anything going, anything like that. So
what was that like the first time? I'm just trying to imagine. My first boat handling was a 22-foot V-hole bayliner, trying to put it in a slip. And I remember how panicked I was. And I kept reminding myself, I can only hit the dock as fast as I'm moving. And I'm trying to think doing that with a 40-foot vessel.
Yeah. And even to make it a little more is our power's in the back. So we always have to stern in. So, sterning in is twice as hard, or at least as bowing in. So
I'm in the back. He can't see the back, so I'm back there with we have headsets on, which are nice.
Yeah,
I'm like, go this way, go that way. I didn't know what to tell him at that time. Now she
mentioned marriage savers. You got to have them. They call them the headsets.
Yeah,
got to have them.
On a big boat, you don't need them on a small boat.
I mean, they call them marriage savers, so you're not yelling at each other. It's the top of your lungs, and they're really good.
Well, and I'm sure you learned your language. You learned how to communicate with each other, and so know now. Especially after how long have you been doing this now?
Well, now about a little over a year.
Yeah, a little over a year. So you all have a language of how you know to communicate, other than the sign language that I'm sure it was used a few times.
And we got, it actually was kind of fortunate starting where we did here, because going down the rivers is pretty easy. Until we got in that first lock, and we can talk about that later too. But but going down the rivers, it was pretty calm and everything else. We got into a couple of marinas, and most of the time they were putting us on a T head or a fuel dock, and so we weren't having to back into slips.
Right.
So that worked out pretty good.
Yeah.
Got a little bit of time under our belt before I had to really do it.
Have you encountered any major weather while you all have been out?
Yeah, but we don't go out in it. We went out one time.
No, you're smart. That's not being wimpy. That's being smart.
Yeah.
That's what we like to say.
Yeah. Just but crossing the Gulf, the one time we went out, and it was too much. It was forecast to be 2.5 footers, with about a 5-second period. It turned into like 4 footers in a 6-second period, which was not good at all.
The couch was
in a wrong angle, coming at our beam, and it was not good. So we bailed out and ducked back in, and that was
probably the hardest.
Yeah, but most of the time, that's part of your planning process. Is you really have to know how to use the apps and look at the weather carefully. And there's a lot of good apps out there. We use Predict Wind and Windy and some of the other Tusky, some of the ones to really get a good idea what the wind and the waves are going to be like. And you learn to know, wind directions, wind against current, things like that can make what's on paper looks like good conditions, not good conditions, or if it's, if there's too much fetch where you got a whole bunch of fetch. Well, that, maybe forecast at 2 footers, but those could build 4 or 6 footers really easy if there's a lot of fetch.
And Martin's done a great job of just learning all of that. He has a learning curve, he's just really smart. But
clearly, if he went through 2 days of training and was able to comfortably drive that boat, so clearly the learning
one
curve.
Day, because one day for each of us.
And I don't remember much of it, so anyway.
So Martin, you do the majority of the captaining.
Yeah, especially the close boat handling.
So
go ahead.
I watched on your YouTube channel. You have 2 different, I guess, programs, apps that you like to use for navigating. Which would you like? Can you talk about that a little bit? What you?
Yeah. So basically, the boat has Garmin electronics. So I have my Garmin chart plotter. So I will use the apps. Basically, the 2 apps we use, because our basic setup here is we have our Garmin chart plotter, and then we have 2 tablets. And on one tablet, I'm running Navionics, and the other tablet, I'm running Aquamaps. So I will plan my route out in Navionics or Aquamaps download it to the Garmin. So that's what the route I'm going to take. But I'm also looking at it with Navionics and Aquamaps, and it gives me kind of 3 different views on it, and that's pretty important. I mean, Navionics is really good. It's great for planning your routes, but also seeing what's available along your routes. You can look at all the bridges, you can look at the marinas, the anchorages, see what people are saying about them.
There's a couple other resources that are really nice. Is the Bob Ford, what is it called?
Yeah, if when you get 423.
423.
When you're on the East Coast, because part of the loop you go up the entire East Coast on the mostly on the ICW, Intercoastal Waterway up over there, and there's this guy Bob Shearer who has gone up and down there so many times. He does it every year, and he puts out tracks that you can go on his website and you can download them and then put those tracks into Aquamaps. I can get them into my Garmin, whatever I want, and that can be your route. You can follow the route that he took, and he's very
what
experienced.
A big help.
Yeah, it really makes it nice. I usually use it as a reference. I don't download it as my map. I make my own route, but I'll have that running in Aquamaps, and I'll have my dash line. I can see where he went all along too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty good. But
That
yeah, that's
awesome.
Yeah.
So I use the Navionics here at Lake Cumberland. I use that a lot as I'm heading out. To be honest with you, just about every time I head out of the marina, I'm usually tracking, mainly because I come back at nighttime a lot. And, our water, although we don't have a tide here, our water will drop between spring pool and winter pool. We can drop around 40 feet.
Wow.
Throughout the year.
Yeah.
And so, if you're, there are times I drive, like I said, a lot at nighttime, and there are times when the moon's not, I can't see my hand in front of my face. And that's not an exaggeration. I have videos of it where it is complete darkness. And so I always, I can go 40 miles across the water in a day, and I might decide I want to stay at a restaurant and all evening with friends, and then I'm coming home. And so I love that app because I just follow the pink line all the way back. I know that I came that way. It's safe to come back that way if I can't see. And so it's, for me, it's kind of my calming app to know that I'm safe coming back. I just got to make sure I keep my phone charged.
It's really good because, when you get up, especially like up in Canada, there's part of the loop you're going up to the Canadian parts. Yeah. There's rocks up there that are totally unforgiving, and you hit them with your props and you just ruined your props and shafts and everything probably. And the Navionics is great for giving you those contours and really, because I would tell you another thing, we'll be going cruising in some of those Canadian like Georgian Bay.
It's like right there is a big old rock.
Yeah, you're in 40 feet of water, and right after you're going within 15 feet of a rock that's sticking out.
Yep. Yeah. We had 6 boats at Lake Cumberland this past season, the summer of 2023. We had 6 boats run aground, and multiple of them said, "I had Navionics going," and I'm going, "No, you didn't."
Yeah.
No, you didn't. You did not.
Yeah, you weren't following it.
Because I'm out there all the time, and I know exactly where you ran aground, and I know daggone well that was very well documented on Navionics. So I do. I put a lot of faith in that app. Granted, I don't go out in places that I don't know on the water, especially at night that I'm not familiar with, but I do put a lot of faith in that app. I do like it a lot.
I would, if you use the auto routing feature though, I would major caveats with it though. Yeah. It will often take you into way skinnier water than you want to go into. Yeah. And so you really have to look at it. I mean, it's great. I mean, the auto routing is great in it, but it will take you in, instead of going out and back in, it'll cut across sometimes, and it's like, you program your boat, what you got. So we have a 4-foot draft. It'll take you in 4 foot 1 inch. And, you can tell it not to. You can say, okay, I'm a 5-foot draft boat. So it doesn't do that, but it'll take you in that.
A little nervous, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Yeah. Well, they say that every looper runs aground at least once. So have you guys had that pleasure?
Oh yeah, yep.
Guilty.
Guilty. Yeah, New Jersey ICW.
What, like 3 times maybe?
Yeah, a couple of really light ones.
A couple of little ones and then
Yeah.
a big one.
One of them again was Navionics took us out, but I should have known better than this. But we went.
We were following somebody else, which we shouldn't have been doing.
We went through the old channel. It was out of
that was
Beaufort, North Carolina.
North Carolina, yeah.
We came out of there and we were following what looked like the main channel going out, and it looked like it was getting a little skinny out there, but it wasn't too bad. And then, and Navionics was telling us it was going to get a little skinny, but it looked like it was still going to be okay. We went out and we soft grounded, but it just so happened that
they were having a triathlon or something, so they had extra boat.
They had a boat US guy standing right there. He said, "Yeah." He goes, "I watched you.
I saw you coming.
I went out and got you before I even knew you were there." So
I knew you were grounded once you went that way.
He didn't even charge us, didn't anything. He just pulled us back out and said, "There you go, go back to the other channel over there." He goes, "Everybody does this out here."
Yeah, it was so fun. He was so cool.
But it was soft grounding in mud, so there was no damage, no
damage done. So you did any of the 3 times you didn't have very much damage done to your boat at all, so you were okay.
Yeah, well, we did. When we brought it down from Lake Michigan, the delivery captain, we hit on a dock. Shouldn't have been anything there. They hit something hard, and that damaged the props. We had to have them worked on. But that's the only time.
That was the only time. That was before I even got on the boat. So. Yeah.
That's awesome. So what did you guys do, kind of changing direction? What did you guys do previously before, like for a living? What did you do for a living?
Melissa's a photographer.
I was a photographer.
She has a photography business. And I worked as a technician in power plants, from regular ones to nuclear power plants on the West Coast. And pretty much.
Yeah. So this is quite the shift. So this is giving Melissa, this is giving you really the opportunity to be able to take, I bet you've taken some amazing photos.
I have really enjoyed it. What's interesting is I really got into, I was a commercial, still photography. I did advertising and weddings, different stuff like that, but I was all still photography. And when we started this, it's like the still photography, I do still do that, but it's more the video.
It's all video
it's the
production.
motion and the water and everything that makes it so beautiful. So I kind of had to learn how to do video.
And all the post. I mean, that's all, it's all processing.
But it's all similar.
Yeah.
Do you have a Facebook page or anything where you post all of your photos and your videos?
We have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, we're
Cruising Cavaliers.
Yeah, it's Cruising Cavaliers, CRUZIN, Cruising, and then Cavaliers spelled regularly. And that's where we do most of our stuff. You have about.
I have a Facebook page, but I kind of didn't.
Yeah, we don't do a whole lot. But she's got about almost 80 videos out there on our YouTube channel, and they pretty much take us around the whole loop.
It's the whole loop. Yeah.
And we're going to keep it up. We'll keep going now, because we're probably
next week. We're leaving.
It's kind of hard to get into the weeds about why we're not going right now. Normally, we should have been down in the Gulf already. Right. But there's a lock that's closed down on our path that won't let us get south of here.
Yeah.
We're going to let us get south of here, but we're not going to go past Chattanooga. We're going to go down and go up to Chattanooga for a while. But we're going to continue around the loop again. So we'll probably do another loop.
Second time.
Yeah, well, probably not this year, because we're not going to get far enough.
We're not going to get far enough.
We're hoping to get up to at least to the Chesapeake and spend the summer up in the Chesapeake. Maybe get all the way up to New York, but most likely.
Yeah, we would totally do it again.
Yeah, we would definitely. It's fun.
We're doing it again.
Do you guys have kids?
No,
we have fur babies.
You have your fur. I was gonna say, what do your kids think of you guys? But so your fur babies, they want to know where all the grass went.
Exactly. They're very adaptable, which is good.
They are. They're really good.
So they transitioned well.
Yeah.
There's a guy down right here at the marina, down about 5 boats down, that gives them treats.
Yeah, every day he runs out there.
So when we do our walk, they just
they want on his boat
to them, and that happens at a lot of places. There's just people who they don't have dogs, but they keep dog treats.
They keep dog treats to give
dog treats to them.
So I would say probably about half of the loopers have dogs with them.
Have dogs, at least one.
Maybe at least a quarter, somewhere between maybe a quarter and a half. Will at least have one dog.
Or a pet of some sort.
Yeah, a pet of some
Sometimes there's cats and birds.
Yeah, but mostly dogs.
Yeah.
Have you run across any bananas on any boats?
Uh, yeah, we've had bananas on our boat before, but I understand
We're
the
not
superstition,
superstitious, but it's
we have challenged that before.
Yeah, so I don't allow bananas on my boat at all. And the one time that I did allow bananas on the boat, a friend of mine, some very dear friends of ours, their son, I've known their son since he was young, and he really likes to mess. We have a very love-hate relationship, and I genuinely, I very much so care for Alex. He is a sweet kid, but him and I, we've butted heads a few times with him growing up. With some attitude issues, and we've gone at it a few times, but he thought it would be really funny, knowing that I don't allow bananas on my boat, one year to wear swim trunks that were covered with bananas.
Oh God.
Yeah. And he was like, he just came walking down the dock, he got on the boat. I wasn't paying any attention. And about halfway through the day, I realized, as he was climbing out of the boat in front of me, that the kid had bananas all over his shorts. And I said, "Are you kidding me right now?" And he was like, "What?" I was like, "Oh, don't even. You have bananas all over your shorts." And so we're going down the water that day, and sure enough, I hit a log.
Oh
God.
You better believe, when I hit that log and I stopped and
Right. I looked at him.
he got up.
The boat.
He got up and went back and sat by his dad. And
Oh.
I looked at him, and he was like, he knew. And after that, the next day, the banana shorts stayed at home. He did not wear the banana shorts the next day. So now he's like, we have a cookie joke, and he's always like, "Hey, Dora, you want some cookies?" And then the next day I'm like, "Hey, Alex, you want to bring some bananas on my boat?" I mean, it's a constant joke we have going back and forth about the bananas. But I was not aware of the whole bananas being bad luck on boats until I went to Merchant Mariner School. I had no idea. So, I think the other thing that I learned, and it was actually a question on my test, and I cannot tell, it was down in Louisiana. It was the one place that you do not have to have a mast light on your boat. And it's like this one canal that a mast light is not required. And it was like, when the law was written in the 1940s, 1950s, they had to climb ladders up on the ships in order to light the mast lights. And down in Louisiana, apparently, if you eat enough crawfish, it will make you you get vertigo. It throws you off. There were enough sailors that would then eat all these crawfish, and then they would climb the pole to the mast light, and they would fall off the pole. And it was
And you believe that? You believe that story that had nothing to do with alcohol?
That's what I said in the class. I was like, and I'm sure it had nothing to do with alcohol in Louisiana. But yeah, and to this day, that law I'm sure that everybody leaves their mast light on for safety purposes if you're a responsible captain. But to this day, that law still stands, that you do not have to have a lit mast light if you are going through that channel in Louisiana. So I thought that was pretty wild. And it was actually, they said I was highlighting it in my book. They said, "This question will be on your test. Have it memorized."
Wow, really?
So those are the two probably things, the wildest things I remember from Merchant Mariner School was the bananas are bad luck, and crawfish in Louisiana, no mast light. So it was like, the things that you remember from school, right? So even as an adult. But so we talked a little bit before we went on the air about the finance side of things. And I asked you guys if that was something you all were comfortable talking about. Otherwise, I would not bring it up. And thankfully, you guys said it was, and I'd like to talk about that again, because I know a lot of our listeners and a lot of the YouTubes, for myself, as I discussed with you guys, my daughter wants to do the Great Loop her senior summer. And so for me, I've been trying to figure out, or her senior year, like when she graduates school, we're going to take 11 months, 10 to 12 months to do the loop, and trying to figure out how much that's going to cost us has been very challenging. And I watch a lot of different YouTube channels trying to figure out, what should I be budgeting? And so you guys gave me some very useful information, and I know that our listeners would appreciate that information as well. And so if you can maybe kind of repeat that would be great.
Okay.
Well, and there's another thing too is it sounds like your situation is everybody has different situations. There's two ways that people do looping. It's you either do it like we did where you sell everything you maybe rent out your house but you don't have a lot of the normal expenses.
Yeah.
But if you're keeping and it's just a one and done 1 year stuff and you still have a lot of the normal
all your normal expenses associated with your dirt house, as we call it.
Yeah. But if you don't have those, then
it's different. So, but you can factor that in. So, I mean, like we said before, it's a difficult question to answer because it depends on the style, what you're going to do when you're looping, and how often you're going to anchor versus marinas, how often you're going to eat out, where you're going to eat out when you do it, what kind of dinners are you going to be buying all the time. So, but there's some base costs you can do, and there's calculators out there on some of the sites like America's Great Loop Cruising Associations, and so you can look at some of the base costs like we're going to go 6,000-7,000 miles. I'm going to have this type of boat that gets this mileage, and plug that in. That's what it's going to cost you.
And that's also another huge thing is the size of your boat and how fast you go.
Right, how fast you go. What the fuel burn? Fuel burns are your boating. We're a diesel boat. Most of the looper boats are diesels. So you may get 4 miles to a gallon, or you may get half a mile to a gallon.
And I have been told that diesel engines are the best way to go because the mechanics at most of the marinas are mostly diesel mechanics. And so that if you want to have, if you need work done on your boat and you are not mechanically inclined, usually you're going to find a diesel mechanic at a marina. So I have been told to make sure I purchase a diesel.
Oh yeah, and tell you what, and it's also the reliability. Diesels will run forever as long as you change the oil, keep clean fuel,
and
keep
the
oil
fire
changes.
Risk,
The fire risk is totally way better than with gas. There's really not a whole lot of fire risk with the diesel engines. And they're just way more reliable. They'll run forever. And on this loop, you're going to be a lot of times you're in remote spots or remote enough to where there isn't a lot of mechanics around. So you don't want boats that are going to break down. You want a reliable boat, and diesel engines are just very reliable. Keep them up and they'll go. So, but so anyway, so you can do those costs about you can come up with your base costs. You're going to figure out the boat you're going to get, and then the mileage you're going to get. In our boat, for instance, so we can do 2 different ways. This boat will get up on plane and go up to 20 knots, or most of the time we cruise at about 8 knots, a little over 8 knots. We're getting about 1.5 to 2 miles a gallon when we're at 8 knots. We're getting about a third of a mile to a gallon when we're going 20 knots. So your fuel burn is incredibly different depending on, even if you have a boat that can do either one, you got to decide which one you're going to do. A lot of people, they want to get where they're going to go, or they burn a lot of fuel.
And I think other than we had a few unexpected repairs that we needed to do, but other than that, we've actually spent less than we thought we would on the loop.
Right. But then again, you also got to understand that boating, you have to have a reserve for repairs, because what you call the boat unit. A boat unit is $1,000. Everything costs multiples of boat units, no matter what it is. You got a light switch you want repaired. Okay, that might be one boat unit.
BLAT stands for bust out another 1,000.
Absolutely.
So anyhow, but so you can calculate some of those costs, and then you, like I said, you have to decide your marina versus anchoring ratio. We thought we were going to anchor more, and we actually ended up spending the marinas more. But
we enjoyed anchoring a lot.
Yeah, we enjoyed anchoring, but we also like being in marinas. One of the things we can talk about is hanging out with all the people. Yeah. It's fun. You learn a term called docktails, which is when you're in a marina in the evenings and it comes along, it's cocktail hour. Everybody starts getting out and getting together on the docks, and people start bringing out food and everything else, and
whatever.
It's just fun. You start trading stories about
whatever happened.
Yeah, and it's all about boating. We always said that there's a lot of things. You go a lot of places on the loop, a lot of really cool cities, and you see all kinds of stuff. But I tell you what, it's really the people you meet and the friendships you make are are really the biggest part about the
That's
Loop.
what everybody says.
It really is a community. It's fun, and it's just really neat. And so staying at marinas tends to get you more of that. So we ended up spending more. But again, you can calculate all that in, and then it's really down to your food costs and entertainment costs. What are you doing when are you going out and we took like a plane ride up in Canada, which was really cool. A float plane.
Yeah, float plane,
And you see, if you do a lot of that stuff and go into all kinds of different hiring, if you go places and rent cars, and you can spend a lot more money, or you cannot. And I would say, people are doing it all different levels.
Oh,
but most people are more on the conservative side, I'd say. They're not. It doesn't cost you all that much to do the Loop. It really doesn't. And everybody, all different backgrounds. I mean, you'll see the stratification of economics or whatever with people's backgrounds. The other thing that's kind of funny is you never even ask.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Most people don't even care what you did in life. We're all talking about what we're doing now and the Loop and stuff. And so if you hang out with people and boat with them for a while, you realize, like Tony, the one guy on KB. Oh yeah, he's one of the biggest neurosurgeons in the whole Midwest.
Yeah.
Never know that.
We voted with him. He's out there catching our lines, and we're catching their lines.
That came up a month after we met him. It's just, you don't talk about stuff like that.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're just having fun and talking about what you're doing, and it's really neat. So
it is.
It's really a neat community. It really is.
What's been your favorite stop so far?
Oh, good
Lord. God. Yeah,
we thought that might be a question you'd ask.
There's so many.
They're all different. New York City.
New York City was just so cool, just because
we've never been
there.
That
picture was amazing. I saw that picture. That picture was amazing.
Oh, driving your boat into New York City Harbor.
We'd never been there, either of us.
Yeah.
So
driving your boat in there, going by the Statue of Liberty.
But
was amazing.
Canada, Georgian Bay.
Canada was beautiful. Canada is, one of the highlights of the trip. It really is. The Canadian canals up there with all the locks are just really beautiful, and little towns and stuff like that. And it's really neat. Beautiful scenery, and Georgian Bay is just absolutely gorgeous. You could spend summer after summer up there and never see everything.
What I think was one of the coolest part of all of it was we would just be going somewhere, and other than New York City, you kind of know what you're getting into, but it's we don't know, we're just getting in there, let's see what this is all about. And sometimes it was kind of a dud, and it's whatever, but other times there's these really cool little gems.
And we're gonna stay another night here because we got to do more exploring, and stuff.
That was fun.
And we there's a lot of places you can go and you can park your boat right downtown.
Yeah, that's what we like.
in St. Augustine was wonderful like that. A lot of ones you just go, you pull your boat in and you're right there.
Yeah.
You get off your boat and you're right in the middle of everything, and it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So I know Maine has a lot of festivals. They have a lot of seafood festivals, things like that. Have you all been able to do anything did you time it perfectly? Were you able to hit any major festivals as you were coming up?
Yeah.
Great question.
Yeah.
We were so just focused on where we're going the next day that most of the time, a lot of things were closed, but somehow we always ended up where they were having a concert.
With the concerts, we went to so many concerts. It was fun.
We just had concerts all the time.
A lot of times right off our boat. We were in Norfolk and Waterside, right there, and we got the best view of the band playing, everybody doing everything, and we're just hanging out on our bow watching the concerts and stuff.
But they had a Cajun festival. I think it was in Norfolk.
It's kind of hard.
It's hard to time.
Yeah, you really
festivals.
don't. You kind of just take what you get.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things. Is they say you never want to have a schedule, to where you've got to be placed, because that gets you in trouble. You go when you shouldn't be going, but you do need to keep moving. You have a general timeline you got to go. So. Yeah, and so you don't really. It's hard to time things and say, there's this one seafood festival here, and that time we're gonna spend another 3 weeks to wait for it.
We never did that, but we
Yeah.
did happen upon some different
Right,
festivals and
yeah.
stuff. We just happened to be there, and
So you started when and you finished when?
We started in
here.
here in Green Turtle Bay, Kentucky, on the Cumberland in December like 18th or something like that.
22.
In 22,
Yeah.
and then we got back here on November 1st the next year.
Yeah.
So it took us about 11 months to do the whole.
Yeah.
11 months, about 6,500 miles, and about 106, I think it was, locks.
Yep. And so, you're going to start. So you're getting ready to start your second round.
Yeah, we're gonna go down our plans for now again, because we can't get down to the Gulf right now.
Right.
We're gonna cruise down and go up to Chattanooga, maybe go up to Knoxville, spend about a month down there, and then hopefully the lock will be open in Demopolis, and we'll start headed back down to the Gulf.
We'll start it again.
Yeah, and then at that point, we're getting kind of late in the season.
Yeah.
But we got to get around and get back up, get out of Florida, North Florida, before too much. We don't want to be in July in there. This is where you get into the insurance bit about it. Is a lot of people's insurance requires them to be out of Florida different times of the year, and that time of the year is usually June 1st. We don't have that. Our insurance, for whatever reason, even though we were brand new boaters
I
when
have
we
no
got it,
idea why, but we called and
we don't have
specifically
any.
asked them.
Yeah, I asked them several times. We do not have that requirement, so we can
hilarious.
a little bit, and we can be in Florida in June, because that's really not the main hurricane season. But we want to be out of there.
We still don't want to be there during.
Yeah, we don't want to be there in the summer
hurricanes,
during the hurricane season. We want to be.
The funny side of that is I just did an insurance show 2 weeks ago, and the fact that you had zero boating experience, and your insurance company was like, "Yeah, go do whatever you want."
Oh,
No,
and
there's one company,
get this,
only one.
We'll say it, we're with Progressive.
Yeah.
They were the only ones who would touch us.
Yeah, nobody else would insure.
And there wasn't even any training requirements. Okay, we told them we were brand new, and we actually. Oh, there you go, Progressive. I like it. So we told them, our broker, that we had zero experience. We hired our training captain, Captain Tom, who's really Tom Howard. He's out of Cape Girardeau, really good guy.
Yeah.
He came down and he had this whole thing, sign-offs, right? Because he goes, well, your insurance company is going to require this. Then I'm going to have to certify that you can do this, this, and this. And I told him, our insurance company doesn't care about that. And he's like, what? You're brand new boaters. This is your first boat. They don't care if you're trained.
That's wild. Yeah. So I went through I have my current boat that I have an Avalon. I have a 2022 Avalon, and I bought it brand new in 2021, and it was totaled last year. I keep it up on a lift in our marina, and we have major storms here. As a matter of fact, we have one getting ready to come in right now.
Yeah,
if it starts
coming through here now,
coming through here too.
And I'm under a tin roof, like a metal roof, so it'll if it gets real loud here, and I have to cut this short here, that's why. But it came through at our marina. We had a 5-foot wave came through, like a 4 or 5 foot wave, and it trashed our marina. Like there's videos online. If you were to Google Lake Cumberland Marina 2023 spring storm, it was bad. But I had a big wave that came through, and it hit from the port to starboard side on our lift, and it twisted the frame of my boat, and the port side is twisted up about 2.5-3 inches higher than the starboard side. Now, most people cannot tell. I can tell just because it's my baby. And so, but it ended up being totaled. And what I went through with the insurance company, because they'd never seen this happen before, with them first throwing checks at me, hoping I would cash the checks and go away. And then my boat broker going, Dora, you can never sell that boat without honestly, in good faith, telling someone that frame is bent, that boat is totaled. The insurance company making me contact the manufacturer, and then trying to convince me that I have to take my boat to the manufacturer, because what the dealership was telling me was not wasn't significant enough. Like it was a circus. And so that kind of sent me down this rabbit hole of insurance. And so I kind of launched my own little investigation of insurance companies, where I learned that my insurance I was not properly insured. Thankfully, I was okay. I ended up buying my boat out of salvage and owed very little on it in the end. So I was okay. But in the meantime, I had a friend whose boat, she had a houseboat. Thankfully, they had just pulled it out of the water in October of this last year, and they had a bunch of work done on it. They had it appraised while it was out of the water, and they therefore had it all insured for a higher amount.
Yeah.
About 8 weeks ago, it snowed, and the marina collapsed on top of the boat and sunk.
Oh, no.
And thankfully, they had done all of that and had the boat properly insured. It cost $1.6 million to get this marina up and get it off of their boat.
Wow.
So they were lucky that they had the coverage they needed for the EPA in order to pay the fines and do everything that needed to be done to get the boat up. But I'm telling you, had they had your average policy like what I had, they would have been in so much trouble. So, I ended up, Eric Fisher, the boat insurance guy out of Cincinnati, who specializes in marine insurance, was the best, most knowledgeable interview I have ever done. And he sells very affordable insurance. He actually, now he sponsors our show. And he educated me on insurance. I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea if my boat ever went down, because our water here is over some of this lake is over 200 feet deep. And I had no idea that it took special divers to go down and bring something like that up, and the cost of fines and everything that comes with it. And I'm going, oh my God, if that had happened to me with the insurance I had, that would have been coming out of my pocket. Scared me to death. And then to watch my friends in the middle of all of this, watch my friends go through this and be able to see the price tag of what it cost the insurance company, $1.6 million for their family houseboat, that they had no idea something like this was going to happen. And they just so happened to up their insurance policy months before this happened. I mean, what a blessing that they did it, but how scary, So, the insurance is a big deal. So, but at the time I was with Progressive as well. And thankfully I was properly insured for what I went through. Had I have gone through something major, like a lot more major than that, I would not have been properly insured, but I am now. So it was great. So, but you guys, I'm excited. I want to interview you guys again, because I kind of get this impression of the first time around the sun was to learn how to do it, and I think the second time around might be perfection. You know what I mean?
It may be learning just a little bit more.
It's like kind of like YOLO, but you guys are getting ready to do it twice. So I think that is really cool. I think that you learned so much. Clearly, you guys learned a whole lot, because you went from never boating before to getting on a boat, 2 days, learning how to do it, doing the Great Loop. And now here you are back at the beginning where you started, and now waiting to be able to do it for a second time. I think that is absolutely, bravo. I think it's awesome. I mean, the ultimate respect to you guys for just having a dream, going and doing it. Whose idea was this?
It was mostly actually Melissa's.
Mostly me.
It
was both of ours, but
she got the bug really.
I got the bug more than he did. And then he's like, well, yeah, sure, let's.
Yeah. I knew the canal systems you could do this, but I didn't know it was called the loop. And then she started researching this whole great loop thing and all this.
He came home from work, and I'm like, hey, we need to buy a boat. We're gonna go do this loop thing. It's like super cool.
And we would have done it earlier. We would have actually done it in
COVID
probably 2019 or 2020, and then COVID hit. So we said, no, okay.
We said, we'll take a few years and wait. But it's been fantastic.
Yeah,
and
it really has.
Like you said, the people that we've met was the biggest part of it. That was amazing, and everything was awesome about it.
And we'll probably meet a whole new set of people this time.
We might meet you and your daughter.
Yeah, exactly.
You all might you might be on your third or fourth journey by then.
Well, probably they said we're almost positive we're not going to do the loop this year again, because it's just logistically we're not going to be far enough up the East Coast to be able to do it early enough. But the following year, we'll go back down, spend the winter in Florida, and go to the Bahamas, and that, and then we'll just be headed right back up the East Coast in the spring.
That's the other thing that I just want to say to any loopers, future loopers, is the river systems from like Chicago down to Mobile Bay get a bad rap. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It really is.
I mean, it's just, I enjoyed it. I mean,
even though we're not really at a good time of the year, everything's a lot of it's closed up.
It's just beautiful, and it's peaceful, and it's, a lot of people don't like it, but it's like, well, there's nothing wrong with it at all.
No, we love it.
I think I would very much so enjoy watching the terrain change. My daughter and I have driven to California 3 times. So, and we loved it. The most, we took 3 weeks one time to drive it. We took 2 weeks to drive it the other 2 times. And we very much so enjoy just watching the terrain change. So we've done like all 3, you go the upper, the lower, the central, we've done all 3 routes driving California. And stopping everywhere in between. And so we very much so enjoyed that. We enjoyed watching the terrain change, and then we flew back. And so we didn't have to drive all the way back too. So we could take our time getting out there. And so I think that watching the terrain change coming all the way down through all the tributaries, I would enjoy that. I think that would be part of the beauty and part of the adventure would be watching how the terrain change is coming down through all of it. So
you'll see so many, it's peaceful here, but even all the way around the loop. I mean, other than you don't get into big mountains because we're on a boat, but you do get into a little bit of mountainous country as you're going up the locks and back down. But the varied amount of terrain it's phenomenal. From the lowlands of Georgia, up to into Canada, it was just, spectacular beyond belief. I mean, we put a camera on the front of the boat out there to just record some of it, and it's crazy. It's just beautiful. And it's like you're going, here we are, we got our boat here, we're cruising in this stuff. It's just beautiful.
It's awesome, you guys. Well, I'm grateful for the interview. I'm grateful you guys wanted to talk to me, and so I very much so appreciate you all taking the time to do that. We're going to do this again for the next adventure. Maybe we can do it like a quarter of the way through, half the way through, and we can talk about your adventures as you go.
Maybe we'll have you and your daughter over for Docktails on our boat.
Yes.
Because we did have one Docktail on our boat where we had almost 30 people on our boat, on this boat for Docktails. It's not
that big.
It's not that big, but we had almost 30 people on this boat at that point.
But we will welcome you to our boat for Docktails.
Absolutely, you guys. Well, thank you very much. Let's say again what your YouTube channel is for our listeners.
It's CRUSIN Cavaliers.
Cruisin' Cavaliers. Cruisin' Cavaliers.
You got it. All right, you guys. Well, I am Dora Miles, the boatress with Dockside Live 365. Thanks for listening.